Welcome to the Focus and Chill podcast, where we discuss productivity tactics that work for neurodivergent individuals.
Every episode, we interview guests with lived experience of neurodiversity who also have a solid productivity and habit game, and pass the learnings on to you, our wise and benevolent audience.
We're your hosts, Jeremy and Joey.
I'm Joey, and I coach creatives to get moving on their most ambitious projects through the power of solid habits and strong focus. I'm also a perpetual student of psychology and perpetually on a quest to a one-armed chin-up.
And I'm Jeremy, a neurospicy software developer turned startup founder, building the Focus Bear app to help people with ADHD and autism thrive at work. My cool party trick is leaving parties early so I can get to sleep in time for my 2-hour-long morning routine. The Focus and Chill podcast is brought to you by Focus Bear, a focus enhancement app for ADHDers. That's adults with both combined autism and ADHD. I'm Jeremy, I'm an ADHDer myself. I'm the founder of Focus Bear and also one of the hosts of this podcast. I built Focus Bear for myself originally because I was constantly getting distracted by my phone and my laptop. I wanted a way to tame my ADHD monkey mind so I'd stop going down rabbit holes and actually get work done, but also get off my computer and my phone in the evening so I'd be able to sleep properly. It's working perfectly for me and it's helping a lot of ADHDs as well. I'd love for you to try it. It's available for Mac, Windows, iOS and Android, and it leverages most of the productivity strategies we talk about on the podcast. You can jump onto focusbear.io or just Google Focus Bear and try it out. Let me know what you think. Welcome to episode number 90 of the Focus and Chill podcast. I'm thrilled to be joined by Michael O'Sullivan today. Michael is an experienced mind and body performance coach with 25 years in the health and well-being space. Delving into science-based testing, methods like DNA, hormone testing, and blood work, Michael and his team are revolutionizing the way we fast-track executive health. As the CEO of a large team, Michael also understands the demands of the lifestyle. He will discuss all aspects of peak performance, from time mastery, stress, cognitive function, sleep hygiene, nutrition, momentum, and fulfillment, to how to integrate mindset, movement, and meal timing into your daily routine. Michael has coached top 1% executives, politicians, and many other well-known individuals. Welcome to the show, Michael.
Thank you for having me, Jeremy. I'm super excited to be here today. Thank you.
Yeah, likewise. So we'll kick things off with talking about when you realized that you weren't neurotypical.
I'm 43 now, and it wasn't really until 3 years ago that I actually realized that I had ADHD. And it all sunk in for me. I was always disruptive in school. I couldn't sit there and focus. I couldn't learn. It sort of just all snowballed. And it was actually a couple of my friends with ADHD that said, mate, you've got all the symptoms. Should go get checked out. And yeah, now I sort of turned it into my superpower.
What were some of the things that your friends noticed?
Well, obviously having dual companies and a large team, I was probably not working the way I should have been with my team. I wasn't delegating the way I should. I was expecting everyone to keep up with my pace. And I was transitioning from one task to another task. And I had my team like snowballing and just not really being able to keep up with me. So understanding that I had ADHD really helped me to manage it personally so I could manage my team and also have discussions with people I love to understand that like, this is how I operate and this is how I work.
Yeah, I can so relate to that in terms of just throwing all these ideas out everywhere and expecting my team to keep up and not really thinking about what they need as well. What sort of changes did you make in terms of the way that you manage your team or lead your team and also personally?
I think the way I manage my team, to answer that one, I found there's two types of leaders. There's a transactional leader, which I was before, which is I would give my team member a task and I would go in and check it's done. I would monitor them and then go back and give them another task, which was taking all my time and energy. I wasn't able to stop and actually do the things that I wanted to do. Then I formed a type of leadership after reading a lot of books on leadership called transformational leadership. So for example, transformational leadership is like the 10-80-10 approach. So I would go in and engage my team on a task that I wanted to do. I would design a really great blueprint using Loom video. I'll describe what I want in detail. And describe the destination in short. This is where we want to go. So team, we're climbing up to Mount Everest. This is our task. And then I would measure the task. So, okay, team, we're going to do 200, 250, meters a day. And this is where we're going to try and track and measure. And then what I'd do with my team is then coach. So transformational leadership's about coming up with the destination, about measuring, and about coaching my team and turning my leaders into leaders so they can actually take on that task, understand it exactly how I envision it in my head and how I see it, and then be able to produce the end result with me only coming in the last 10% of the task. So using, obviously tools like AI and Loom video and Google Sheets, I was actually being able to put together processes and SOPs for my team. The thing that I do now is literally with a Loom video, I'll record myself doing something on my calendar, and I'll assess my calendar over each period, like each month. And I'll figure out what tasks are not moving the needle for me, what's not making me more efficient with what I need to do to move us forward. And then I'll give that Loom video to one of my staff members and ask them to create an SOP. Then they'll watch the Loom video, and because they've watched it and created the SOP, the standard operating procedure, then they actually know exactly how the job works because they've designed it. And that's where I come in for that last 10%. So having this style of leadership has really created more freedom for myself. And I guess the other question was, how's it affected myself? Is, as you know, Jeremy, I had a little one a little while ago, and I wanted to free up all my time. Like I wanted to be there. Like I want to be present with my kids. So I was able to create more space for myself, to invest in myself first, my health and my family. And that's made me more fulfilled in life.
That's fantastic. And yeah, I need to do a bit of that in terms of avoiding micromanagement and trying to be involved in every detail. What was it about the process of discovering that you had ADHD that led you to that process? Because it seems like I had read a lot of books about leadership in the past and they talk about that sort of thing, but I wasn't necessarily able to execute on it in the past. Was there something about just having greater awareness of how you were working in the past that allowed you to make that change post-diagnosis?
Yeah, well, I think it all comes to a point in life where someone's going to tell you got spag bowl in your face, or you've got the doctor tells you got to go on pharmaceuticals. And like one of my staff just said to me, Mick, every time we do something, it feels like we're in an escape room and we don't know how to get out. There's no end. So I really had to think about that. And I actually follow a lot of men with ADHD. If you don't mind me mentioning them, Dan Martell, who's American tech. He literally just had ADHD as well, but he tells people how he manages it, how he manages his team, and where I got the transactional to transformational leadership style from. In short, I also follow people like Alex Hormozy, who's also got ADHD. I just learned from these men. Also Simon Sinek, what's your why? What is your why? From following these men, when I found out I had ADHD after the last 3 years, I was able to really design my lifestyle and business, and within what I do, the reason why I do it, how to do sales and marketing properly, how to lead my team, but also little hacks you can do in your life to save back your time. Because I think you get to a point in life as a CEO that you really realize that the endless hours and grinding and all that hard work is not going to fulfill you. And I find that a lot of leaders that I talk to, and after working with really big name CEOs, it's what they contribute. It's what we contribute in life, like what we're leaving behind. What is our legacy? It's not what we succeed and what we achieve. And I think when you can manage your like ADHD and figure out your superpower, like the three men I just described, and what is your tunnel vision purpose, then it doesn't seem like work. You just get up and you'll sit there, as you know, with ADHD, like, oh, it's 12 o'clock. I haven't had breakfast yet, and you're just like in the zone. So yeah.
Yeah, the hyper focus can be both a blessing and a curse, as you described. We were talking outside this podcast about how I'm maybe not eating enough protein. And I think that's part of it, that I can get into hyper focus and forget to eat lunch or have breakfast late. So is that a challenge that you sometimes still face now, of really getting into the zone and then sometimes forgetting about some of the other things? Or have you got good hacks around making sure that you still remember to eat despite that?
Well, my hack that I had to do, and obviously an NLP coach as well. So brain-based science is really important to me and learning about how we work. One of my best hacks to remind myself, which everyone with ADHD should do, is setting little reminders on the phone. I link it to sort of podcasts that I like or music because it lowers stress straight away. And it reminds me, oh, it's time to eat and drink. It's time to stop and have my meal. But also you've got to align it with your calendar. You need to have it on your calendar as a reminder. It comes up, the phone goes off. There's that reminder that it's time to stop and recharge. And as you know, 6 minutes of like walking or getting away from your desk in an hour period increases your productivity by 60%. And we need to have the fuel, like we need to fuel ourselves. And I think definitely doing that helps. There is days where, to be honest, I think fasting is great. I don't think it's great for everyone. It's definitely not great because a lot of people are obviously lowering their metabolism and just not eating enough protein that they need for the workouts they're doing. But there will be days where I'll sit there and go, I'm going to be here till 12 o'clock. And that's when I'm doing the moving the needle task. So, but definitely the reminders on the phone. I like subliminal messages as well. So there's a lot of tools out there we can use.
That's really interesting. I've heard a lot of people talk about alarms, and I have a bit of an aversion to it because I think about the beep, beep, beep type of alarm. That the way you're describing it, it's something that the sound that it makes is actually playing a podcast or something that is pleasant to listen to. That's a really good idea.
Well, it actually, to be honest, when you're eating, Jeremy, like most executives or busy people will usually shovel down the food during the day and try and just get it in. It's time to eat. I've got to shovel it in. But we need to go for a period where we're lowering stress before we eat, because when we have high stress coming from back-to-back meetings into shoveling food down, our bodies, it's not good for our digestive system. And also our bodies don't absorb the nutrients. So yeah, it's super important to look at that. Like obviously with meal times, there's a lot of science behind men with ADHD. You don't want to be having a burger and chips and high starchy carbs because that's going to spike insulin, which is going to spike your blood sugar, and it's going to play havoc with your cognitive ability as well. So yeah, I think there's a big, like once you understand your ADHD and you also align your energy with your calendar, like for example, like you doing podcasts, maybe a couple in a day back to back, you know, you're in that same energy flow, or you're doing outreach calls in that same block. It makes it so much easier for someone with ADHD to be on the same energy wavelength.
Yeah. And also wanted to dive into the point you made earlier as well about the 6 minutes of some kind of active exercise away from work leading to 60% improvement in productivity. That's really interesting because I think there can be a challenge there in that you talked about sometimes there's a move the needle task where it feels like it's good to keep going and going. But I find sometimes there's a point of diminishing returns.
Yeah.
I think that idea of 6 minutes out of 60 is probably what I end up doing, that I don't really like the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off. I tend to like 50 minutes on and then having a break after that. And that sort of aligns there of 54 minutes on and then go for a 6-minute walk.
Yeah.
Is that something that you try?
I did try the same technique, the 25 on and 5 minutes off, but with ADHD, it just doesn't happen. We need to have like, it's like we have to get that engine kicking over and we need a little bit more momentum, you know, get into a task. But obviously, yeah, it's definitely important because I think most people want to have peak performance, but they're hindering their peak performance by doing the most important thing that we're supposed to do, which is rest and recovery. Because we're not meant to like rev the engine all the time. Like if we rev our engine and, you know, go from Newcastle to Brisbane, eventually the engine is going to blow up. And it's about just making sure that we're having those little stages during the day, because most people that I talk to think, I like to say busyness is the laziness. Like they're being too busy and they're impacting their actual cognitive ability and what they can get done by not stopping and resting and recharging. And, you know, it's actually proven that you get more done and you feel better.
Yeah, 100%. having those breaks, I often find I end up realizing, oh, I was trying to do it the hard way before, and here's an easier way. But it's hard to notice that when you're just driving nonstop all the way to Brisbane.
Yeah. And it is like, and we get stuck in those stages, but I think we end up pulling ourselves up. Like we all get to those stages where we've got a big deadline and we've got to get stuff done. But I've really learned two things is definitely don't overanalyze stuff, really communicate well with your team so they can take the pressure off you, but also to rest and recover and take time out. I just ran a retreat up at Wengat with 12 CEOs. It was a powerful event. And I knew I was going to give out a lot of energy. It was going to be a powerful event, but I knew I was going to be pretty much working through my Saturday and Sunday, which I'm not used to doing. So I took the whole day off on Monday and I planned a whole day where I went to my gym, Body Beyond Limits in Newcastle, did a session. Then I went to hot yoga, did a hot yoga session. I went to the beach and it was all on my calendar. Like I set it up as a day of recovery. Then I went to cryotherapy and did the cold water therapy, and then straight back into my area to get a massage, and then spending time with my little son and my partner as well. And the next couple of days after that, like I literally got more done in 4 days than I usually do because I took the time out to rest and recover. And I actually had a half day on the Thursday as well to support my partner and little one.
Hmm.
And I felt good all week. And I think, not to go off track, Jeremy, but I think a lot of people live their life in pain. Like they live, and it's human psychology. We live our life in pain. Like we know we're tired, we know we're stressed, but we're not doing anything about it. We know we need to eat right or do the right things, but we don't do it. But it's about making sometimes powerful decisions. And I think within the busyness, there can be laziness because we're not stopping and actually looking after the most important thing that's going to move the needle, which is our mental health and our physical health.
Yeah, 100%. And thanks for sharing that. That's so powerful to have structured your work week. So you definitely had the recovery built in. I've fallen victim to not planning out the rest after an intense period like that. I had a conference that I went to 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty intense for 4 days straight. And I should have planned a rest day on day 4. I didn't, and then I got sick. So it's a good alternate way that you've operated.
Yeah, I think the universe, when you don't rest, the universe makes you rest. And it's like stress. Like stress is something that people don't realize. Like it starts coming with like, poor sleep, that we lead into poor energy levels. Then it snowballs into poor decision making and reactive leadership choices that we make. Then it comes into skipping meals because we're too busy. We need to get the work done. Then it leads into this nighttime of eating the wrong foods because we're trying to fill up, which leads into the hypoglycemic state, spiking insulin that leads back into the cycle of bad sleep. I think every man and woman just needs to be present with themselves and really scan themselves to figure out like, where's my energy right now? What's more important, me recharging or me getting this small task that I need to get done?
Yeah, 100%. That's a good segue into the next area, talking about your work. And I think it's interesting that you've run multiple companies and that you said that might be connected to ADHD because probably you can structure your work life around your own strengths and the things that you enjoy doing. Can you talk about what you're doing now and the type of clients that you help?
Well, within my businesses, I run a gym in Newcastle, Body Beyond Limits. We've got about 7,000 transformations. I started off 12 years ago, and when I started off my businesses in the backyard, and that's about creating generational health. And my whole business philosophy is helping people create generational health and longevity. Obviously, it's not snowballed into peak performing teams, so taking care of companies' wellness. But my main passion, I always said to myself, I'm never going to do something that doesn't feel right for my energy. And because I love helping men and I want to help people that are super busy fast track their health, we stepped into elite power moves executives. So health coaching, pretty much delving into functional genomic testing, bio-individual blood work, hormone testing, and then pretty much fast tracking someone's health in a short amount of time. So saving time, money, and energy by letting their team take it over. I find all great leaders are always looking to learn and to have mentors, no matter how big they are. And it's sort of like hiring a health coach. And at the moment, I just really love doing it. When I sit down and get someone's gene profile and their blood work, and I've got to now create this exercise program for them, I ramp up this energy inside of me, this excitement, and I really love doing it. And it's one of those tasks I can just sit there and do for like 4 hours, 5 hours. So yeah, my whole philosophy, you know, from the days where I was overweight myself at 145 kilos, my whole ultimate why and dream is to connect with people along the journey that will help me to impact 1 million lives and support health and wellness for their families. And that's what I've created pretty much. So yeah, in a nutshell, that's pretty much what I do. Even though I have 3 different companies, they're all aligned with the same purpose.
Mm, really important work, and amazing that you can exemplify it yourself as well, implementing it in your own life and then helping other people.
Yeah, I think everyone, like what they do, even probably yourself, Jeremy, you're probably doing something around focus there that you want everyone to have. And they're the sort of people I like being around. Like you've created something for yourself and you're using the law of reciprocity to give that out. And I know people that have wealth that want everyone else to have wealth. I have health and vitality and longevity, and I want everyone to have that because I believe that a lot of people just live their life in pain. They don't know that there's the holy grail out there. It's within us and everything's at our fingertips.
Mm, yeah, 100%. And have you found in working with clients both in your gym and with Elite Power Moves that the health challenges for people with ADHD, are they different to the general population, or are they similar?
I think there's a slight difference. I find everyone with ADHD is quite different. Like I got guys that I know that love caffeine, will drink a lot of caffeine. And I got guys that I know that just don't drink a lot of caffeine and they're really into just watching what goes in their body. Like they won't even have a branch chain like amino acid that has any artificial sugars or anything in it. I think everyone's a little bit different. There's a different approach. And that's the way I look at health. I obviously don't work in my gym anymore. I just manage my team. I go for a couple of team meetings and I do the KPI once a month with the team. I just find that a lot of people's identity is around food and training. And with ADHD, it's got to be something a little bit bigger because I think the training's great. Like it obviously releases serotonin, endorphin, dopamine, especially before we're about to learn and remember. But I think there's a lot of inner system stuff that you need to look at. And that's what I look at because the way I see it is we train for 1 hour a day, which is 4% of our day. Then we eat, for the certain times of the day that we're eating, which is probably 8% of our day. And if you put that 12% together, like where's the rest of it? Like where's the inner system, the sleep, the energy levels? How do we optimize our well-being as well? Because I think, to be honest, after being in the fitness industry for 25 years, the health and wellness industry shifted a lot from the health and fitness industry to the health and wellness industry. But yeah, for example, one of my clients and best friends now, Rich, who owns Adequate Marketing Agency in Sydney, he has his process of what he likes to do with his ADHD. He doesn't like to meal prep. He likes just to cook. He doesn't like to have caffeine or anything that's going to hinder his performance. And I think a lot of people with ADHD are really sensitive to their environments. And that's one thing I've found that everyone has in common.
Mm, yeah, different, but a few universal principles as well. And it's great that you're able to help them. So when you're not running your 3 businesses, what do you get up to?
Well, I personally, to be honest, I've got a pool out there. So I really love cleaning leaves out of my pool. I live in the country, like outside of Newcastle. So I have a pool that's over leaves, but I love getting outside. I love golf. I love fishing. I really love spending time with my family, most importantly, especially now that I'm 43 and got a 4-month-old at the moment. I just really like connecting with my friends. The thing that I really love doing the most is certain things that I need to do for ADHD, which is yoga. Sometimes it's not yoga. It's just about taking 20 minutes out to really just breathe and stretch and to be present with myself. Apart from that, I really love my job and I'm always looking at learning and improving. So I'm always studying or reading or something like that.
Mm, I've never heard of someone enjoying fishing the leaves out of the pool.
That was a joke. But I actually, to be honest, I just see everything as like it's not ideal to have a pool with leaves in it. And I don't get much downtime, but just going out there and just taking the leaves out and then having a little swim at the end of the day and just being present with myself.
Mm,
Obviously I created a life that's like a holiday. So,
mm,
obviously you can jump in the spa, have a bit of time out in the spa. I just wanted to create that life that I think everyone should have in presence and really having that downtime when you need it, the rest and recovery, and just putting things that you love on your calendar because we're all climbing that mountain as, busy CEOs and entrepreneurs and busy men. And usually we're carrying people up the mountain with us, but it's good to just stop and have a look at the view, just be present with yourself. And it's something, as you know, it's really hard to do when you got ADHD. Like in
mm.
3 minutes, you have 3,000 thoughts going on. Like I actually got my hands under the table because I just have to remind myself and squeeze my hands not to keep on talking. I've got to like listen sometimes. But I've also got a brain dump book that I'm like, I start my calendar for the week and then I've just found like 20 different things that I've written down that I need to sort of brain dump.
I've got 5 different pieces of paper next to me with brain dump ideas.
I think it's just super important if you have ADHD to have some sort of ritual where you brain dump. The way I like to set my calendar out is actually because, when you get busy and you've got heaps of stuff going on, you're sorting out stuff, you don't really plan properly for your week. And
Mm,
I like to just have a think and go, all right, the Pareto principle, what's moving the needle? So
mm,
I will write down my top moving the needle task and then I'll put down the task underneath that list. And then I'll go through the moving the needle and I'll number them and really think about it and think about what do I need to do next, but also what's going to align with the calendars of my staff as well. So I can set it into their routine so we can work on it together. And then I put that into my biggest blocks of the week and usually around that Monday. Like I don't take any calls on Monday. I don't have any engagements that will take my distraction. And it just helps me to go, you know what? Even if I don't get any more work done for the week, I've got this biggest moving the needle task, which is going to help get myself to where I need to be. And then I can put more time on for like staff training and development for the end of the week and meetings and all that sort of stuff. And like I said before, it's all about with ADHD, it's about how to understand your energy flow and how you work. I don't know if this aligns with your podcast, but I'm also into like mind, body, and spirit. So I'm actually running retreats for men and seeing men open up is great, but I'm right into also human design. Human design pretty much tells you how you spend your energy. And I'm a manifester, which is a rare energy type. After learning that and also having ADHD, I learned how to delegate my time and how I should work and how I work best. But also DNA, link that to the DNA dopamine section. It also tells me how I learn and how I remember. I think that's created the beast that I am now. Like people are like, how do you do it? Like people message my gym and like, they think they're talking to me. Like it's someone else. I don't do any posting on my social media and I've literally created a life to go, you know what? If I could pay someone to do it and it frees up my time, then I'm going to do it as you do as well, having virtual assistants.
mm. Yeah, I love those 2 ideas there. I was going to ask you about productivity tips, how you optimize your productivity. And we've already started with that, blocking out Mondays and really planning your week. So you've got the big rocks to do first and also paying people to do things that don't move the needle. What are some of your other top productivity tips?
Well, the way I like to see a week, or like a calendar for anyone, especially guys I coach, it's about building a foundation. So the first thing you need to put on your calendar is mindset, movement, and meal times, rest and recovery. So you need to lock those things in like the big rocks and also family, obviously the biggest rocks. So you need to delegate that time on your calendar. And that's just your blanket calendar. Like everything else works around that. And then obviously going into actually like we spend a lot of time in our calendars each week. So we need to really stop and think. Obviously, I've got some executive assistant help where I can have a team to delegate stuff and help me, but I always know where my energy is going to flow best. And like, there's really no gaps on my calendar where I don't have, like, if I'm driving to the chiropractor appointment, I'm catching up on a call with someone, and I just align that might be a call with my family. And even just having a chiropractor appointment, which is really good for your central nervous system, it just makes your work a little bit more urgent during the day because you've got this chiro appointment at like 4 and I've got to finish all my work. So I do little things like that on my calendar to really speed up my efficiency. But the major thing that I do when I'm working, like obviously, we want to have the best cognitive ability. So I always put my headphones on. I'm sitting under like the stairs in a small little area in my house. So it's like, I just feel comfortable in this spot under the stairs. I put on my headphones and I listen to binaural beats. And it just really helps me with my energy and focus on my calendar. But I think it's really, like I said at the start, like really delicate, like figure out what is moving the needle for you, because so many executives and CEOs are working on all the little stuff. I know multi-millionaires that are still doing $20 tasks, you know, and it's because I used to do this when my company was huge. So I got to keep on doing this. But hey, mate, you're paying like 20 other people to do that now. You don't have to do it anymore. And it's about like really realizing and letting go. Just like assessing your health and your business, like you've got to assess your calendar because, the more you do that, the better it is. And one of my best tips, I guess, for the listeners is to find, a piece of paper and just write down, have a look at your calendar even and just write down where you're spending your time. And then get another list and write out, mindset, movement, mealtime, family time, rest and recovery. Put that on that calendar and then start to delegate your time in between. But the power of actually looking at your calendar to start with is going to go, you know what? I didn't even do that stuff. Like I was not even productive then. And why am I actually doing this task? I don't need to do that. I can trust my team to do that. And I think when it comes to mastering your time or buying back your time, which I do for all the guys that work with me, that's why they get an extra 14 to 28% increase in their business KPIs because I identify where they're wasting the time. But yeah, I still do it. I still do it as well, like we all do. But I think is definitely the key for productivity is to really sit down and assess and then delegate. But like I said, delegate in the energy flow that you work with. Don't have like a podcast on, then I got a book call, then I'm going to go into focus work because you're just not going to be there. So you got to try and delegate those bigger blocks where, no one can book in with you. All your staff know that it's your downtime. Your emails are not available and they understand that. And when you align that with your staff calendars as well, then everyone works more efficiently.
Okay. So do you have all of your staff also have Mondays where they're blocked out for deep work as well?
Yeah, like it's the most productive time. And I guess you got to learn with your staff how they learn. I've actually got a female staff member, Jazzy, who's amazing. I love her. She's been with me for 8 years in January. I couldn't be the man that I am without her. She has ADHD. So I know that I can't just give her a million little tiny tasks to do on Monday because we've got cognitive repair. Like our brains are just fried before it comes to Tuesday. Imagine doing the biggest moving the needle task on Monday. How's that going to make you feel in the momentum for the rest of the week? So I think, yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays, obviously Thursdays, I do a lot of calls and showing people what I do and engaging with people that are looking at joining. Fridays, I do team meetings and I catch up. I do all my client reviews and it's just all the smaller stuff. Some Saturdays I get up and the kids, I got teenagers, my stepkids, and they're asleep to 8:30 and I wake up at 3:00, 3:30. It's my time every day. So I might go and do a workout and do a couple of things. Like I'll just do a couple of like things that are going to really help me amplify me, so it's not work stuff, but I think, yeah, I think majority of people are just not working their most valuable resource, which is their time.
I can testify to that there's probably some things that I could delegate to other people. Thanks for sharing that. And I'm going to look at my calendar tonight when I do my review. Are there any tips that you've heard that might be more general productivity advice that you found doesn't really work for you?
Well, I think all productivity advice is good, but there's a lot out there. So It's really, to be honest, there's probably not much that I've learned that I don't use or tried, but I think it's like health. Everyone's different. We're 1 in 4 trillion. It's about identifying what works for you. And what I do is probably a lot different to other people, but I have been doing it for 12 years. I believe there's a lot of productivity advice out there and time saving stuff that is really not that great. But I think in a brain based way, the one thing that I do to save time is I used to tell myself, I'm so busy, I got no time. And when we say this to ourselves, it's like we're telling our subconscious mind to create that reality. Like I said, busyness is laziness. When we're busy, we're never actually going to be present. Like we're never actually present because we're always thinking about stuff we've got to do in the future, which means we're not actually ever living. And saying I have no time just says we're not available. I have no time. If you're saying that to staff or family, it then tells them you're not present. And then you create that reality. So I think the biggest thing I did for that, I learned my self-talk, because I think what we tell ourselves we become, it definitely is like, I can guarantee anyone in life can have anything they want if they ask themselves for it. Like I go to bed every night and I ask my subconscious what I want. And then I wake up in the morning and ask myself what I want. When you're going to go buy the red Jeep or you're looking for a car and you see it everywhere, it just creates that reality. It starts making things happen in your life, which puts all the pieces and the jigsaw puzzles together.
Yeah. And key to that as well is you were talking about doing that just before bed, which is a way to give the brain a break. So we're going to take a quick break now and we'll be back shortly.
Hi there, Focus and Chillers. Are you ready to supercharge your knowledge in the realms of creativity, tech, and psychology? Come check out my fortnightly newsletter. In each edition, you'll get quick wins and actionable takeaways that you can put into practice right away. If this sounds like you, I'd love to have you as a reader. Subscribe for your fortnightly dose of insights. The link is in the show notes. And now, let's get back to the show.
All right, we're back from our break, and we were talking about just before you go to bed, you ask your subconscious what you want. And then the first thing that you do when you wake up is also ask that same question. What do you do after that? What follows in your morning routine?
So my morning routine pretty much looks like I'm usually out of bed at 3:30. Now I've got a 4-month-old. It's usually a bit earlier now, so I'm up at 3. The first thing I do, I try and center myself, my thoughts. I always ask my subconscious what I want as soon as I wake up, because this is when we're in the trance state. It's like the 1 to 7 year age bracket where we can rewire our subconscious thoughts. The next thing I usually do is drink half a lemon and half a teaspoon of Himalayan pink salt. Firstly, it tastes like absolute shit. And it reminds you
With water, right?
Yeah, with water.
Okay.
Warm. So obviously it tastes like absolute rubbish, and it reminds you that everything you're going to do that day, it reminds me everything I'm going to do that's tough is going to be good for me. But pink salt and lemon together and water actually hydrates your cells. It helps you for your body's pH level. It helps you with toxicity, but the lemon also helps you with the digestive system and also your digestive enzymes in your pancreas. So I'm reminding myself that it's a healthy thing that I do. After that, I do 1 minute of breath work, box breathing. So just 1 minute to help regulate cortisol. I'll usually come downstairs into the office and I have everything laid out for myself. Before I get anything done, I will do 3 minutes of gratitude. So it's really early in the morning. I'm like that nomad that's up at that early hour. And I'm just really like, after I've asked my subconscious what I want, I'm really grateful. And it's usually for my partner, for my staff, for what I built, for the lives I'm changing. And as you know, with ADHD, it's 3 minutes is a lot. So sometimes it might only be a minute with about a million other things that I wanted to write down. Then I do obviously connection. And at 3 o'clock in the morning, the only person that's up is my dog, Bob, who's probably snoring out there now. So I just give him a pat and feed. And I might even think of a couple of people that I really just want to say thank you to that have helped me, because I think gratitude and connection is super important. Then after that, I'll pretty much have my gym gear on and I'll go down for a 45 minute to an hour workout where I'm sort of like helping pushing my mind. I'm, releasing serotonin and endorphins and dopamine. And with all the healthy habits that I've just done, this pushes me into my moving the needle task. And that's the thing that I'll do. So in the PM routine, you're going to ask, is that right?
Yep. What time do you go to bed is my first question to wake up
Oh,
at 3 a.m.
well, my son goes to bed at 8, so I'm usually in bed by 8. A couple of times during which you're going to experience having a little one, you're going to experience there's like no set sleep routine. So sometimes I might fall asleep on the ground during my stretching. So, but usually 8 o'clock, I like to set that time, but what I'll usually do is my nighttime routine is always, and this is probably the best sleep advice. It's about having a switch off time. So you need to go, like most high achievers, they don't know how to switch off because we've got our subconscious mind, which is like a phone. We've got all these little apps open and you need to hit clear. So at times I might do a subconscious clearing session for 20 minutes or 17 minutes, which is just a podcast you can find. There's plenty of them out there. And then I'll do a little bit of stretching on the ground. Then I'll usually have, like, if I'm watching any TV, I'll wear blue blocker glasses because watching screens going to inhibit melatonin, which is our sleep hormone. And then I'll just have that little routine. And what I usually do when I go to bed, I don't eat 2 hours before I go to bed. The best sleep advice I always give someone is to go to bed hungry, dark, blind, and deaf. So that's having the earbuds in. I
Yep.
can't really do that when I got Zane because I want to go through all the wake up times with Lou. I don't want her.
Yeah.
But obviously, pretty much that's my routine. And I go to bed, obviously brush the teeth and do all the little things that I need to do. But that really puts you into that state where you're going to get really good REM sleep. And just before I drift off, is just ask my subconscious and I just say, hey, show me how to XYZ. And you just go to bed really thinking about something amazing that you want. And you create it in your reality. So when I do go to bed, which I recommend for all your listeners, also hungry, going to bed hungry, having the earbuds, having the mask on, but also having a temperature of around like no more than 20 degrees, because obviously having warm rooms is going to wake you up and push you out of REM sleep. So that's usually my nighttime routine. I find that a lot of high achievers, like I said, they go through back-to-back meetings and all this other stuff in life, and they're on their phones. They're trying to do stuff at night, or their leadership style is different, where they're not getting their work done during the day and they're trying to do stuff at night. So yeah, I think it's just about going like that. I'm literally done. I could go through the biggest back-to-back meetings and have a million things going on, but when it's time to be present, it's time to be present.
Mm. Yep. Super important. And having that consistent cutoff time, it breaks that cycle that you talked about earlier on as well, with the eating poorly and then going to bed late and then being less productive the next day. Whereas it sounds like because you've got that fixed schedule of stopping work and clearing your subconscious and going to bed at an amazingly early time. Wish I could go to bed that early. It's more like 9:15 for me, but I'd like it to be earlier.
Yeah.
Sounds like you've set up an amazing virtuous cycle for yourself.
Well, to be honest, sometimes I do get up at 3 and I go, what am I doing up at this time? It used to be 4, but it just depends what cycles I'm in my life. Like I do have a lot going on at the moment. Like I'm trying to create a life of legacy for my family, and I'd rather spend time in the morning getting stuff done than not spending time with my family. So it's more of a choice that I sort of made to get up at that time. And I know so many like high achievers that are usually 3 or 4 a.m. they're up. But yeah, I think it just helps you set your circadian rhythm because the sun comes down, you go to bed, and you're sort of up before the crack of dawn. But yeah, I definitely feel like it helps you manage your lifestyle. And I think your whole day is like a wheel. Like if you can get it turning properly and you get that engine working, then you're going to fly.
Mm. Well, you've inspired me. I'm going to go to bed early tonight and hopefully wake up early the following day.
Well, you actually heard it on the radio that most people that are night owls, probably some of the smartest people, like night owls are usually really intelligent, ultra intelligent people. And they usually like mess as well. Everything's messy and all that sort of stuff. But 9:15 is a good time.
Yeah, if I could get it 8:45, I'd be very happy. I'll try
Yeah.
and make some small changes there.
Yeah.
Right. So if people want to connect with you and find out more about Elite Power Moves and the gym and your other projects, where's the best place to find you online?
So obviously the best place to connect with me is on LinkedIn under Michael O'Sullivan. I'm always happy to help anyone. I literally work from the law of reciprocity. So if someone's lagging in their sleep, they're lagging in their energy, I've got heaps of free resources that I send out. So connecting with me on LinkedIn, but also Michael O'Sullivan, executive coach on Instagram is my main platform. I would say Facebook, but I got hacked a little while ago. So that's out. But yeah, that's the best way to connect with us.
Great. Do you have any final words or asks for the listeners?
I just believe that everyone should really work from their purpose, like what they really love doing. And they should take time to manage their energy. Like, where am I putting my energy? Where am I wasting my energy? And do assessments on themselves. Like, if sleep's not that good, let's spend like imagine spending half a day to get better sleep for a whole year. So I always tell people to invest in themselves because you're going to turn up to be the best leader, the best husband, the best wife, and the best father.
Wise words. Thanks very much, Michael.
Thanks for having me on, Jeremy.
Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Focus and Chill podcast. To listen to other episodes, jump onto podcast.focusbear.io. If you'd like to be a guest on the show or you know someone who'd be a good fit, email us at team@focusbear.io. Otherwise, stay focused, stay chilled, and peace out.